Hi everybody, welcome to the G. Louise book series. Today we're talking about Victoria Thompson's A Counterfeit Lady Novel, City of Secrets. This book was delicious. Absolutely delicious. Seriously. So grabbing your attention. A very multi-layered mystery, intriguing book. Um, it's so multi-layered and so interesting, and we even get a little bit of history. And I'll just read the little. Elizabeth has discovered that navigating the rules of high society in the biggest con of all. She knows she can play the game, but so far her only success is Priscilla Knight, a dedicated young suffragist recently widowed for the second time. Her beloved first husband died in a tragic accident and left her with two young daughters and a sizable fortune. While she was lost in grief, Priscilla's pastor convinced her she needed a man to look after her and engineered a whirlwind courtship and a hasty marriage to fellow parishioner Endicott Knight. Now, about 9 months later, Endicott is dead in what appears to be a terrible, tragic accident. Okay, I don't want to. Okay, so your minister is supposed to be somebody you trust, right? Supposed to be trusting. He can't betray the confessional thingy. Okay, so what she finds out is that a former madam wanted to improve her station in life, and she married a priest. It's a weird combination. One end of the spectrum to the I mean, come on. A priest and a madam. Go figure that one. Okay? It's just. But they want money. And the priest is a little on the innocent, a little, not too far. But his wife, the former madam, brains. And she decides that she's going to take advantage of one of her parishioners, Priscilla, and with a little, as revealed, little spoiler there, a little laudanum or whatever she used, she made herself into the woman's life, into Priscilla's life, and slowly got her involved with this guy. And she married him. She doesn't even remember marrying him. She doesn't even remember agreeing, anything like that. She was totally 100% conned and totally drugged during the whole thing. And the guy that she marries, he was convinced to marry her by the priest and the madam. And he had extra marital activities, and he was photographed. I don't even, because of the time frame of this, I mean, we have a lot of modern sneaky ways of doing stuff, so I have no idea how they got away with the sneaky stuff in this time frame. But they could have drugged him or something, who knows. But so for whatever reason, they got a picture, and the picture leads to a whole bunch of different clues, and they discover that he had been blackmailed, and that's why he gave all of his money to the madam and the priest. So Elizabeth's boyfriend wants to go to the police, and because there's no proof, and he runs into roadblocks there, and they end up having a little bit of a tiff, and they got to work through that. But it is so interesting. And we get a little bit of history. I don't know why. Because there's something strange about the Honesdale's family. The nephew of a well-known minister owns brothels. The son of a well-known minister arrives. Minister suddenly marries a woman no one ever heard of before in a private ceremony with none of his parishioners present. That couple encourages a widow in their church to marry a man she barely knows, who also happens to need money because he's being blackmailed. My other little snippet is because also during this time, oh, and I wanted to, where is, um, Elizabeth and Mrs. Bates hardly had time to take off their coats at the Bates home when Anna Vanderslice arrived. Her cheeks were glowing and her eyes sparkling, and not just from the cold. Have you seen the newspapers? She asked before they could even greet her when she entered the parlor. Is there war? Mrs. Bates asked. No, something even more exciting. She opened the newspaper she carried in so they could see the headline. Mrs. Bates snatched it from her to read the story. An amendment passed. Elizabeth asked, having only been able to read the headline. Is it the women's suffrage amendment? President Wilson made a speech today urging members of Congress to pass the women's suffrage amendment. Mrs. Bates reported, having read that far, and they passed it today. But it was just the House of Representatives, Mrs. Bates said as she read further. Elizabeth knew getting a constitutional amendment passed wasn't that easy. She hadn't known anything at all about how the government worked until she'd been thrown in jail with a bunch of suffragists last fall. But she was becoming somewhat of an expert. History. An enjoyable book with multi-layered mystery, with some history, some accurate history. And the other thing I wanted to read, oh, she's talking with the former madam, Miss Honesdale, a high society lady. I hope you are as fortunate as I someday, Mrs. Honesdale said in a tone she must imagine made her sound wise. But a young woman with resources who is as lovely as you are should have no trouble attracting a husband. Do you think that should be my life's goal? Most young women would consider it so. Perhaps suffragettes are a different breed. Suffragists. What? Mrs. Honesdale asked, confused. We call ourselves suffragists. The term suffragette is demeaning. Mrs. Bates had enough of their sparring. It is a common mistake. I am sure Mrs. Honesdale meant no offense. Of course I didn't. I had no idea the newspapers are always determined to give offense, Elizabeth said. You can be accused for not knowing. The way Elizabeth gets her dad to help the situation. I don't want to reveal too much. You have to read the book. It's absolutely delicious. It's just delicious how they work their little magic and how Gideon comes to realize um, that the law may not work that way, but he does figure out another way that the law can also help. So there are winners. Elizabeth wins because Gideon comes to his understanding. You'll have to read specifics. But Priscilla gets her retribution, and nobody knows about that. And Gideon also gets the legal retribution, too. It is a really good book. You've got to check it out. I'm going to pick up the next one and get to it. I'm a series person. I like series. I love watching the character development, and this was just absolutely delicious. And like I've said before, I'm just an amateur. I just read books. I just like to talk about books. I'm nothing fancy. I'm just plain and simple. So I really need you all to like and subscribe. It's really important to me, and it would help. a lot if you could like and subscribe. My series is taking off like a little turtle, very slow little turtle. But please like and subscribe, and please enjoy the book. It is really, really good. I enjoyed it immensely, and I need to take some more notes next time. I got so involved in the book, I didn't take that many notes. It was so multi-layered. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.